Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of season 2 of Friends in High Vibrational Places. This is our enlightening, conscious conversation to help bring you that next piece of wisdom, aha, inspiration, and love that the universe is dropping in for you at just the right moment, just the right place. And today I am so excited to welcome a dear friend of mine and cosmic sky dancer sister, Bonnie Mansdorf. Bonnie and I met here a few years ago on Big Island and recognized our sisterhood and our shared love and lens of this world. And we get to speak into that a bit today for you. And just a bit about Bonnie. Bonnie is a most extraordinary person who has had a very unusual life. And I want to share just a couple of those pieces in introduction. You can read more about her in her bio. Has established the Foundation for Healing Among the Nations. And this foundation is having its 25th year anniversary and has names that you would know, such as Neale Walsh and Jack Canfield on the board. Others. She also has worked closely with Steven Spielberg, with the Dalai Lama. Her life and the being that she is has brought her into extraordinary connections with humans in bodies and beings on the inner plane. And all of that has guided her work and her mission and her profound presence and healing for this planet. So it is my great pleasure to welcome her to our show today. Welcome, Bonnie.
You're welcome.
It's good to have you here. So just as we were joining this conversation today, and we were talking about the pieces in our most immediate world that brought us to this moment, and I had been sharing with you a dream that I had last night because my night had been full of a lot of just a lot of information and a lot swirling in and almost an agitation. And finally, in this last dream, I'm trying to get from point A to point B, which is fairly important. And I'm walking or kind of trudging, and everything is so heavy and so cumbersome and laborious. And finally, I just went, I'm just going to fly. I know people don't know that I do that. And I know it might like be a little bit of a thing for them to notice, but I don't really care because I just can't do this trudging thing anymore. And I just took up and I'm just start flying effortlessly where I need to go. And somebody goes, "You fly?" And I said, "Yeah, I know, I know." So this is kind of our sky dancer lineage, which is that we know how to fly and we know how to be with everything that's happening in this world from a space of, I think your words as we were gathering together ourselves, light filaments and weaving that in. And I would love you to speak about that. If that feels okay for you to dive in, tell us a little more about you, your story, but also what you're noticing right now.
Yeah. I know we started this session, and I mentioned to Christine how in the hour before we started this session, I had all of these different calls coming in for people in crisis. And another friend of mine called in, and she was in Stonehenge, and she sent me a picture of the beauty and the power of the strength of the land there. And I spoke to immediately what I felt from that was I went, my goodness, that land has experienced so much sorrow and so much beauty and so much of everything on this planet that it's been holding. The stones have been the witness in holding this energy for so long. So it's no mistake that came in because we are like those living stones. I really feel some of us ancients here have been witnessing these kinds of life shifts and feeling and holding those sorrows in a resonance from a place of the deepest unification with the universe, the deepest love of the universe, the deepest uplifting of that light of the universe that pours through into every dimension. So back to what Christine just brought up again is I was just mentioning before we began this session about how much I recognize the the union of our universal reality. Now, I don't recognize that all the time in my daily life. I do all kinds of stupid things, but basically, I bounce in and out, and I'm also, this is this flying element. We're bouncing in and out of all of these dimensions and all of these realities in our consciousness. And people that don't recognize that are doing that also. So you're doing this also, even if you don't think you're one of those types of people that do it. This is happening to people. And it's especially happening to women. Women are really, really bringing through that energy and that openness as the heart has opened up so deeply. And as women have carried the pain of the land and through birthing and through all the things that happen, they have really moved us forward into a greater, huger opening to be able to receive and recognize and embody these universal forces. So outside of here are these filaments of light flowing around and beings of light. And the unification of us in the universe and with the stars and everything that is who we are gives us the natural right to ask and say, hey, I'm here, I'm available right now, this moment, in this moment, it's all happening. And that's where we're beginning now, just from being like right here together in this moment, beginning to weave all the threads together from past to future, but really living from this moment as we're embodying and feeling all those universal life forces starting to gather, which I can feel. There's a lot going on in the room, and I'm sure we're feeling it too. So
True.
we're
Yeah.
just on a journey, so join us.
Yeah.
We'll see where it goes.
Oh, thank you. Gosh, that is so beautiful and so true. I want to just echo and affirm what you've said. It's all of it at once. I just shared a series of incredibly joyful pictures on my social media account because there's been a lot of joy, and that's literally right next to my morning practices that often have me weeping at the deep compassion I feel, experience, and carry both at a human but soul and cosmic level for so many things. And it's all in the day, all of it, the profound poignancy and tenderness and eyes wide open to everything. And I love what you brought in, which is within that we get to choose where we go, what we enliven. And this is part of why you and I like to gather to converse and to play, because we're like, oh good, let's do that thing. So yeah, we're inviting everyone into that weave this morning.
Yeah, yeah. And it's so beautiful when we get to do it with a sister. So I'm so grateful you invited me into this beautiful moment together, Christine. It's a real joy. And I know you asked me to say something about my foundation, which I completely forgot all about.
I think it's really important for people to understand a little bit of who you are humanly, because like for me, I mostly experience you cosmically, and that's how we experience each other, and we like each other humanly, but really that's kind of where our strongest connection is. And yet you have such a unique, well, we all have unique paths, but yours is unusual in particular ways, and I feel like that would be a way for our audience to actually understand that you really know what you're talking about when you speak into these things that we're sharing right now. So yeah, I would love to hear you share about that.
Thank you. I think I'll try to say as succinctly as I can. Um, I started this foundation, the Foundation for Healing Among Nations, 25 years ago, after my father passed away, in honor of him. It was going to be the Mansdorf Foundation, and out of the blue, it just came in, Healing Among Nations. I went, oh, that sounds good. I had no idea what I was doing, where it was going. But I did it in honor of my father because he was a survivor of the concentration camps in Germany with the Nazis. And my mother was a healer and a nurse with Stalin in the Russian army. And I was born in a Nazi's, I not was not born. I was conceived in a Nazi's castle in Germany after the war when they got together and were married. And then they came to the United States, and I was born off the ship in the United States with this very strong memory as this child, as this baby. I am here with this mission to really bring this new quality of love to this planet. And so they became my training into the depth of what was going on through the separation of identity on this planet and the immense suffering. And so I spent a lot of my childhood time trying to weave through what that was all about. I was shown a tremendous amount of things. I was aware of why I was here. As I got older, I started to put a veil over myself, and lo and behold, when my father passed away, this opportunity came in to start this small foundation. And I had become an interviewer for Steven Spielberg's Shower Foundation just to get my arms around my history, my karma. That was my teaching into helping the evolution of humanity and my own being here. And so I became this interviewer and went into that, and that led me to a lot of what the foundation's work was going to be about. However, it was not. And we brought together many leaders of nations that had been oppressed by the war, the Tibetans exposed to the Chinese insurgent, the Vietnamese exposed to the atrocities of Pol Pot, the indigenous peoples of this country here, mostly in the United States and in North America and Canada, that had the hardships that happen in these lands. The African American leaders worked with Rosa Parks clearly and closely. And I have been in the healing energetic fields for a long time before I did this. So it moved me into this new realm of collective healing for this planet, which I hadn't had my arms quite around yet. It was a really big job, and I had some major, major traumas going through that. Lo and behold, these leaders came together. They all needed many things to fulfill themselves. The Hopis needed their prophecies fulfilled. A lot of things focused around prophetic things that needed fulfillment and bringing peace to areas like in the Middle East, but that had to fulfill certain ancient prophecies, which I thought was pretty interesting. And they kept mentioning, say, well, you're the link. I said, well, why you keep asking me to do this? I'm a newbie on the block here. And they said, well, don't you know, a healing among nations is in each of these prophecies. When a healing among nations, then then peace will be brought to the land. So that was the destiny. Healing Among Nations was guided by many, many beautiful, beautiful beings on the inner planes. And then there was a time where I was told it was complete, that my agreement was complete, and I could go and do whatever I wanted, go be on vacation, basically, or whatever. So um,
Nice.
it's my work has shifted into a whole different dimension, mostly working on the inner levels. It's starting to expand back into the world again just by sitting here speaking to you. And here we are in present moment time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, it really is a remarkable, um, it's a remarkable timeline that you live here and that you serve. And I love how you pointed out, none of this was like something that you set out. There was no ego ambition or any even really small self idea of here's what I shall be or accomplish. It was so organically and internally guided. And then now this, and now this, and now this. And that really is part of this new paradigm of love on the planet. That's actually an aspect of it, just one of so many, which is it really doesn't come from a linear logical plan. It comes from devoted listening and, in a sense, like obedient action. You were told what to do and you did it. You didn't say
Mhm.
no. And then when you were told, here's your completion, good, well done, that word comes through as well. So it's so beautiful modeling that way of living and being. And I know you and I spoke into that thing that you mentioned at the end, which is that most of what you do now is very much on the inner planes. And there are many ensouled beings in bodies on the planet who are doing lots of work on the inner plane. I would suggest every single person listening to this is that they're, through their prayers, their intentions, their desires, all of it, they're creating. We are all creating that together. And yet you work very intentionally that way on the inner plane, and you give a lot of your time and attention and yeah, exploration to that in very tangible ways. So it's beautiful that that's beginning to bridge a bit more into the outer
Mhm.
realms. Yeah.
Mhm. I think one of the things I'd like to talk about that um, many people might not be aware of, and that I was not able to talk publicly about because I was a director of a functional international foundation. And I did many of the things on the outer levels that were the acceptable things, but the inner level spiritual dimension that drove every action in my heart, I couldn't bring forward. And so I'm just going to speak to that now because everybody's availability is so needed right now. And all of these beings on the other side can't reach us unless we just say, hey, I'm here, I'm available, I want to work with you, you know. So um, I had beings that contacted me. I knew I was a cosmic being from another place since I was a little child. And and that journey began. These beings just came back after 15 years last year, and we have started to work at a whole nother dimension again for the evolution of humanity on this planet because we are coming into some really, really challenging times, as everybody sees and knows. So your invitation and your presence um, is being asked. I could feel, it's being asked. Everyone watching this show, um, you can ask and feel that. It's a subtle, beautiful energy that you might begin to feel through just in your heart or through the opening of love. It will have many, many dimensions for different people, but I'm just putting that out there that it is okay, no matter what place that you feel you live in, to request that and come and join us in this journey.
Yeah, beautiful.
Mhm.
I'd love to go speak into that a bit more because there's really you and I've spoken about this, and I know that one of the phrases you use for it is the middle path, which is that we don't actually close our eyes to any of the denser side of the polarities, the truth and the reality that is playing out. And we also don't attach to that or to needing to fix it, save everybody, have only one other thing happening, which would all be, rainbows and unicorns. And that's, again, I mean, a hyperbole, but it gets there. It's like on one side we have Pol Pot, and on the other side we have the also equal reality of infinite bliss and expansion and light. These are all here for us here on Earth, and what we do as beings in service to this new unfoldment is we walk a middle path. Can you speak into that?
Yeah, yeah. We talked a lot about that. And I say the middle path, it always comes back to, beautiful Eckhart Tolle's message of be here now, or Ram Dass's message of be here now, who was my teacher when I was 19 years old. And that's still like the essential energetic truth, because no matter what is going on, it starts in this present moment. And when you call in and you stop and you just enter into that present moment, like I'm even becoming more present than I was a moment again by bringing the intention into it, it starts to gather all moments into it through the heart, through the vibrational, but beyond belief systems. And I think that's what we're talking about. We all have opinions, we all have beliefs. Our ego is running the show in our personalities most of the time. There's times where we're led to be in our growing up stage, which is all about our human development and our personalities. And there's times when we're in our awakening stage. And that's how it was in the past Piscean age. But now we're being asked to be in the central core, not doing two separate things, not being in an awakened stage while your personality is out the window completely, or vice versa. And that's the embodied way that a lot of the divine feminine is all about, is about embracing every aspect of the universe, of God, or whatever dimension you call in your creator, of every expression of creation, and going to the root of that emptiness. And once you call upon it, I called upon that and I said, I'm ready for that. And it took me on a very, very big ego death dive, and it was intense. So, do it with ease and grace as best you can, or not.
I know some of us are spiritual extreme sports types.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, an extreme sports type. But basically being just, yeah, just stopping, feeling your feet on the ground, letting the earth's energy come up through you, letting the heavens energy come down through you, being filled with that radiant force of cosmic life force.
Mm,
And you can access that when you stop and you put all your belief systems away and you just become
yes.
who you are.
I love this. As you know, one of my favorite topics is kind of that fortress of the mind and how it keeps us from the very thing we want. And what you're speaking into is, in fact, a very real experience when we go all in,
Yeah.
that we will be face to face with things that will be challenging. And then they also won't. Because it's really only the mind still that makes that difficult. And that process of complete surrender and softening and opening and just saying, okay, here I go. And one of the things that came up for me, and I've seen it come up with so many of my clients, is, well, but I won't be able to take it. It will be too much, or I'll die. And I remember that point. Yeah, we know this one. Yeah. And eventually you just go, okay, how many times have I died? Here I am. If I die, I die. This is more important to me than that. This freedom, this utter transcendence of that prison is
Yeah.
more important to me than my own Christine life. Okay, let's go. Let's see what happens. And as soon as we're really that all in, the mind has no more tricks to play. It can't throw any of the fears at you because you've actually overcome the greatest one. And then you're free.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it may be a bit of chaos getting there, but when you get there, yeah, that tipping point, it really is. I mean, there is no arrival in this journey, but that particular juncture, that marker, that is a thing. Yeah, that's definitely one of the pieces. So thank you for that.
You know that you created it, that it is your own creation,
Mhm.
that you're the sovereign creator of your reality. I mean, even in the difficult times, whenever it's difficult, you can still have the oversoul peering down, going, oh, there I am, and look at what I created, and the knowing that you've created, the self responsibility that I created this, um, is your lifeline basically in those times of, we, you know, it's on the edge.
It's really beautiful. I shared with you before we began that for the past 2 mornings, this morning and yesterday, that one of my group of home beings has been very present with me in my conscious awareness, which is they don't come into that realm a lot. But it relates to what you were just saying because they've been weaving with me. We've been weaving a new, I would say, a new octave of light interfacing through the human heart, through the mind. That's been happening like straight in like this blaze. But then also, and I'm speaking about this because it opens the energy, which is, obviously that's what we're here to do. And so there's this wave that we're laying down, and it was a beautiful ultraviolet purple light, but different. It was actually more of a rose colored purple ultraviolet. It was a new color for me
Uh-huh,
in
uh-huh,
the light realm. Really, really beautiful.
uh-huh.
And so they're laying this down, and I'm communing with them and looking at that. And so you were just saying, and then you realize, oh, your oversoul's going, oh yeah, there's that. I created that. And maybe our soul is even an interface of awareness, of a very clear awareness between our person and our oversoul. And what I was just kind of conversing with these beings about this morning was, yes, and then there's another layer of awareness behind that. And then there's the awareness that's before, behind that, and it just
Yeah.
keeps going. So that's the space I was just
Mhm.
exploring,
Yeah.
not well exploring, but communing in this
Yes.
morning. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. 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 I find like there are these portals that pop up out of the blue. And in this present moment, what happens is like, I love the infinity sign. It's like the
Good.
sign. And of course, when you get to that little point in the center, there's a moment of where death happens and a new life happens.
Mhm.
It's a pause between everything. And we're making those choices every second and every time we stop in that present moment. And that little space is like this portal that happens. And it takes us really instantly into what Christine is talking about. It takes us further, further, further. Some people know it as the quantum, in Vedic. It has other names as, you're going in deep Brahman or whatever it is, tradition. It's into beyond the void, really. It's into the core point where all creation exists and can exist from and can create from and can disappear from. Um, yeah. And we can't go that far back in there. Christine and I will become
I know, then
blubbery.
we'll both disappear from the screen and it'll be over for this part. I know, I hear you. It's good that we stay assembled. have a have a lens, have a fixed an assemblage point. Here we are. It's good. Good. Yeah. Well, and then we can get very practical with that too,
Yeah.
because here's our world. And like you said, and we know this, and lots of people are talking about it, that the chaos and the age that we're in and the agendas, and then the even as we speak about the middle path, when there are two sides screaming really loudly opposing truths, that really where you probably want, well, I'll speak for me. I want to be able to hear, but from the still point that we're talking. And I don't really want to go over there and join this shouting match. And I don't want to go over there and join that shouting match. And I'm not going to suit up or put a dog in the hunt or do any of that, because what we're talking about is we're called to hold this center. And I am hearing so many light workers, whatever your word are for them, way showers, light workers, interdimensional, embodiments. People are saying this in all the different ways. The most important thing right now is not really to figure out all the pieces, what's happening with weather modification or politics or subversive agendas or any of the stuff, because it's good to do your research and be informed, whatever you need. But I would suggest that if this part of the path is for you, then there's a twofold call, which is first for you, which is for you to hold that center of embodiment and to keep going deeper into that space of absolute equanimity, peace, and clarity. And then to be able, for whatever that means for anyone listening, to walk that path in this world and to hold that energy, to radiate that energy, to be that truth that we are beyond the current noise cycle. And if you look at the planet history, we cycle through really loud times, and we're in one now. We are in one. Yeah. And it's actually a big one. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah, it is. It's the great paradox of the spiritual thing about it's all perfect.
There you go. Yes, say more.
And um, we feel everything, no matter what dimension of reality we're holding, we're still going to experience and feel everything that's going on here. And we still also rest in the true identity of who we are only, and that is this place in that center point. And for me, it also activates this very new, vibrant heart body in the body of humanity that has not been activated or even created up until now. It's a very beautiful, wide open space. It doesn't even look like a normal heart, but it will be connecting you very clearly if you access that point of your heart in love to this dimension that we are talking about. And this will be moving us through what several have been speaking about, from the free will, where we have been doing whatever we want to do here, to now things being moved through a will, a love will, a heart will. And that things won't be able to be accomplished quite as easily anymore that were done through free will. It has to be engaged with heart will as well. So that will begin to see a variety of shifts happening too, to how things are being manifested for a variety of people on the planet. But it's a very, very new energy. It's very beautiful. And it's not something that you have really known exactly as before from your human heart, but you'll begin to experience this, really soon. So just listen to that and feel that coming in. And it'll be, one of those portals again into this place that Christine has been speaking about, that we've both been speaking about.
Hmm. Thank you so much for that beautiful, not only invitation, but also transmission of, of literally holding and being that field, because that's frequently how it works for us. It's how it's worked for me, that when somebody that I'm witnessing is embodying a field, a vibration, a consciousness, whatever your word might be for it, and acts is there, they become an access point, like you right now, your words, that transmission, they become the portal. They open the portal. And it's wide open through that because you're vibrating it. You're not just talking about it. I could feel all of your beautiful, your cosmic entourage speaking with you in that. Those that's the only field they know. Yeah, that that are helping to bring it to the planet as you are. So thank you for that. And when we witness it, I've often said The reason you can see or experience or feel something, like you might look at somebody and go, oh, yeah, that looks, I'd love to know that. The only reason you can even see it is because you are it already.
Mhm,
It's because
mhm,
it's here for you.
mm,
Because the only thing that hasn't happened yet is a very thin, very wispy as smoke veil has yet to be removed. It's that simple, and it just goes like air, and you go, oh, there, there it is, that. Yeah, so thank you.
yeah, and here's the thing, you know, there's a time where I'll just keep being brought deeper and deeper to where there's just silence, nothing left to say. Um, which is not exactly what we're going to continue to do in this moment.
But that's, I was like, oh, we have a choice point here. We're either done or we keep talking because that part, there's no more, we're in the silence now. I'm with you, I know.
Or we can just invite you all to just stop for a second and feel into this energy and be in the silence as we close this session, if we're ready.
That feels perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Mm,
Hmm.
mm.
Well, thank you so much, Bonnie, for your wisdom, your presence, the light that you are, for joining in this time of
Mm.
conversation today and energy. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Christine, for all that you bring to this planet and all of your sessions that you bring forward. People, she's the real deal. Enjoy her completely.
Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, I love you.
I love you too. Thank you to everyone who's listening, and choosing and saying yes to that amazing, brilliant, infinite, and ever more light and deep, deep, deep silence that you are. Thank you. Thank you for being on the journey with us. We'll see you next time. Aloha.